Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to be looking at the FBI, who apparently raided the wrong person's house. Maybe. Allegedly. Allegedly. Now, I just want you to notice, before we get into it, that these two articles are the exact same. This one right here, and this one right here. They are both NPC. One's NPC 10 and one's NPC 4. And before we get into it, if you wouldn't mind like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, that would be great. Now, let's get into it. Let's go into the Philadelphia one. Um, so the Penn Live one I know is probably a hot heap of garbage because I know the person who wrote it and they are not the best of the bunch. Um, Marilyn Hopper admits she was in D.C. for Trump's rally that day, but she says she didn't get any closer than 100 yards from the Capitol and spent part of the day being lost in an unfamiliar city. Now, if this is true, which I have some doubt, but not really, my doubt stems from the gravitas of what the FBI would like to think that they have. But anyway, I the FBI is so incompetent. I've talked with some FBI agents before. Um, FBI agents are great. It's just the directions that they are given sometimes just make absolutely no sense. And of course, they have to follow them because it's their job. They can't just be like, "Oh, no, thank you." They have to do it. So we're looking for Nancy Pelosi's laptop, FBI agents told Marilyn Hopper after briefly handcuffing her. That still doesn't explain why you're in my home or in Homer, Alaska. The search for the House Speaker's laptop had taken the U.S. Capitol Police officers thousands of miles away from the FBI Capitol to raid Hopper's home, looking for something stolen during January 6th insurrection and the person who did it. Now, where they got their intel from is beyond me. Sometimes people like just say crazy things. Um, like someone could have like just said, "Oh, maybe she had Nancy Pelosi's laptop," and then someone else could have been like, "Oh, I heard she has Nancy Pelosi's laptop," and then someone else could have went to like the FBI saying, "Hey, this person has Nancy Pelosi's laptop." It's exactly how news works in the United States. Someone will be like, "Oh, this is alleged. This com or this news outlet is reporting that this happened," and then you'll have the like a third news source saying multiple sources have said that this happened, and then everyone else will be like, "This happened." Now, of course, all of that is completely wrong, based off like the premise, because the premise is like, oh, this allegedly happened from like anonymous sources, and then like, but the more people who report on it, the more authority you give to that news story, which is why I don't like anonymous sourcing for news stories. Um, pros and cons, pros and cons. I feel like if it's slanderous, like if it's just a blatant lie, then they should be outed. But hey, what are you gonna do? It's up on the people to determine what is true for themselves. Like you can't determine what's true and false from me and what's not. The Justice Department's massive prosecution of those who stormed the Capitol on January 6th has not been without its problems, including the potential instance of mistaken identity, and as Republicans are increasingly seeking to minimize the insurrection and downplay the horror of the day, and any missteps by federal prosecutors could be used. in that effort to discredit what actually happened. I wouldn't necessarily call it an insurrection. It's borderline terrorist attack. That's where I would put it at. I wouldn't put it at necessarily an insurrection because there was no plan. There was no gain of other than like the political goal of changing the outcome of the election, which wouldn't have happened if like everyone died in that room. The system would continue on because quite frankly, everyone, like, no offense to our politicians, but they're frankly useless. They've deferred everything to on what people call the deep state, which would just be like the FBI, EPA, Department of Transportation, all these like huge departments that really make all the regulations that affect our day-to-day lives, and the Supreme Court, which, however you feel about that, I don't like it. Supporters of the President Donald Trump ransacked offices, rifled through lawmakers' papers and desks, smashed through a single glass window, and knocked over one bookcase. The laptop from Pelosi's office, her lectern, and iPad belonging to Majority Whip Jim Clyburn and other electronics. By far the most effective tool for federal agents had been old-fashioned tips. Many of the rioters have been ratted out by their friends or family members. Eh. So here's the thing about tips. People definitely weaponize tips. I know people who send like hundreds of fake tips to the FBI, for people that they don't like. So it's but that gives them reasonable suspicion to go in. And I also heard from FBI agents. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because I highly doubt any FBI agent would really want to make their jobs in life harder for these kind of things. But they put in the tips themselves, and then that's how they get warrants for things. Again, take that with a grain of salt. I highly doubt that's like a real thing that happens, at least often. But they're wrong. Hopper insists she told the AP that another woman wearing her same coat and with a similar hairstyle was inside the Capitol during the insurrection, not her. She admits she was in D.C. for Trump's rally, but she didn't get closer to the 100-yard. Yeah, yeah. And of course, there's no picture. Uh, and that's good that she decided to declare herself for that. Yeah, that's the video. Have a wonderful day and God bless you.